This is Comet Troy, the RV park builder, and I have a little bit of a situation and an opportunity at the same time. So we decided to get the fire hose up for some redneck Sunday fun day. I've never tried out my fire hose yet. I'm a little terrified because that's a lot of water rushing through there. It might be a little hard to hold on to. It's hurricane season here in Middle Tennessee. Whoa!
I see a rainbow.
Yeah.
Here, on this other side, so I can get.
Hurricane season. This is actually a 4-episode series, 4 parts, and RV park infrastructure. This is Comet Troy, the RV park builder, and this is episode 4. In today's episode, we're going to talk a little bit about downsizing the install here. I know a lot of the subscribers are making you know, a smaller deployment with 2 or 3 RV sites, and that's all they're going to have. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about the fire hydrant. We're going to have some fun with the fire hydrant. I tested it out for the first time. I was a little terrified to turn it on for the first time, but you'll have to see how that went. And then I'm going to talk about some of the endpoints. Now, endpoints meaning the yard hydrants, the RV stations, and that sort of thing. And anything else I can think of after that. So let's get right to it. One of the things that I decided to do as well is I went back and updated the description of the first video in this series, episode 1, where I talked about the parts that I used. I updated the description with part numbers and manufacturer numbers just as a reference, in case you're looking at doing something similar at your RV park. So I hope that helps. It's not an endorsement, or I don't get any, you know, kickbacks or anything from those part lists. I just put them there for your convenience. All right, to the lot owners out there who, you know, have a few acres and they want to put in, you know, 2 or 3 RV sites, you know, one for themselves, a couple more for family and friends. I'm going to speak a little bit to that now. You know, so we, you know, if you watch the first 3 episodes of the videos, we put in, you know, some pretty heavy duty stuff here. I call it city quality. You know, we have 2-inch HDPE running from the road 600 feet back, and then we have 1-inch. I've been calling them Ford Corp valves, but if you search for Ford Corp on the interweb, you'll get Ford Corp trucks and that. The official name of the company is Ford Meter Box, so that's where I got the 1-inch taps from. And then the M&H valves are the, you know, the big heavy duty 2-inch ones that I put in the ground. So, you know, there was considerable expense in building out this infrastructure for the RV park here. So what can you do to downsize that a little bit? So you're a lot owner, you have a couple RV sites. You know, what do I recommend? And, you know, for a smaller deployment, less expensive. And there's a couple ways you can go about it. The first thing I'd like to say is the process is pretty similar from the utility perspective. I actually had a 2-inch tap, you know, to the road, and then I had 1-inch taps off of that. So basically, you know, what the city will do is, you know how I put in the 1-inch taps where we did a saddle clamp on my 2-inch pipe, and, you know, that ran to my utility sheds? Well, that's pretty much what you'll be doing in a smaller scale. You won't have the 2-inch HDPE running down the road. The city will come out in most areas and, you know, put a saddle clamp on their main water line, you know, whether it's a 3-inch or a 4-inch water line, and then they'll they'll put a saddle clamp on there just like we did on our 2-inch pipe here. And then, you know, the threads will be smaller, and then typically they'll bring out, you know, 3/4 inch packs out of that, or, you know, maybe PVC or possibly even steel pipe, you know, or whatnot. But they'll put one of those valves and taps right on the main water line, and then they'll be able to, you know, have their T to turn on and off. And then that will go to the, you know, a smaller water meter for, you know, 3/4 or 1 inch tap off of the main road at the feed. And then you're responsible for bringing it to your RV sites after that. So what they do out here is, what a lot of the lot owners do is they just run PEX from, you know, from that water meter underground. You know, whether it's 3/4 or 1 inch, those are pretty common. I think 3/4 is a little more common. If you're going to have, you know, 3 or 4 RV sites and a house, you know, I would recommend getting a 1-inch tap. So, but you know, 3/4 is probably fine. I've turned on my 1-inch taps here, and they flow. There's a lot of water that comes out of there. So you'll, you know, get your PEX. You'll run from the city water meter. And also, you know, same thing if you have a well, a pump. I mean, you'll have a pressure tank in a hut somewhere, and, you know, you'll run the PEX from that underground. And then once you got the PEX underground, you can, you know, put T's underneath there. And you can do standard PEX T's, which is the least expensive route to go. I'd highly recommend brass, you know, instead of plastic. And then if you want to do a little bit higher quality than that, Ford Meter Box has, you know, some higher quality elbows and couplers and valves that you can also bury underground. So if you wanted to, and this is what I would do if I was doing a smaller park, I would get some, you know, some Ford Corp or the Ford Meter Box valves and bury them on, you know, 1-inch PEX or 3/4 inch PEX, and then, you know, be able to access them from, you know, from above ground, so you can turn them on and off. And then they also have some T's there, you know, compression type fitting T's that you can bury underground. Of course, you can use the standard brass ones too that have the crimp on. I just would feel a little bit more comfortable long term if, you know, if I use something a little more heavy duty than those crimp on connectors for PEX underground. I actually had a few of them break. You know, they start getting a little corroded, you know, who knows what can happen. So, you know, basically you'd run the PEX out of the water meter, you know, maybe come to a T. You could put a couple valves underneath the ground or not. The other option, of course, is to use an irrigation box if you wanted to, you know, really save some money, you know, like a sprinkler box, and just put a standard ball valve in there that you can just, you know, a lever that you can just turn with your hand. So lots of options there, just depending upon, you know, what your budget is. And then, you know, it's more trivial than what we did here. So that's what I would recommend if you're, you know, a lot owner with just a couple of RV sites. You know, use a combination of T's and underground valves. And then if you wanted to, you know, save some money, skip the valves, and, you know, you can always turn the water off at the street or at your pump box. And then, you know, if you really wanted to save some money, just go with the standard clip-on connections. So a lot of the stuff is the same, you know, so your mileage may vary. Okay, let's talk about endpoints. Now, when I'm talking about endpoints, I'm talking about connections for your RV at the RV stations. I've done a lot of full-time RVing, and I've been to a lot of campgrounds, and a lot of campgrounds that I've been to just have PVC, the white PVC underground for water. And then, you know, they bring that up to the surface and, you know, screw a valve on and, you know, attach it to a post. And, you know, that's probably the most least expensive way to make an RV site. Of course, the danger there is you're not protected for freezing. So if you get below freezing temperatures, you end up, you know, turning all the water off in the park, and then, you know, if people are still connected there and have have the water pressurized, you know, there's still water in there, it can still break those PVC pipes. So I highly recommend doing frost-free yard hydrants. So I bought, you basically, what I recommend too is you can get like, so for Tennessee here, you know, 2 foot is the, you know, is the bury depth of a standard yard hydrant. Now, if you buy a 2 foot bury depth yard hydrant, it's only going to stick out of the ground about a foot or two. So what I'd like to do is I actually bought some 3 foot bury depth yard hydrants, so they stick up higher and they're easier to connect to. You know, as you get older and, you know, having to reach down, you know, real low here and try to connect up your water doesn't always work so well. So that's what I would recommend for, you know, for this. And you may think, well, you know, I'm down in Texas or Alabama or whatever, but let me just show you a video. I hope I have it. I hope I can find it. I was in Fairhope, Alabama, which is southern Alabama, in Christmas time last year, and they had some below freezing temperatures, and they had the PVC above the ground with you know, with the standard hose connector bibs on there. And guess what? One of those PVC pipes busted. You know, it busted basically right at the ground level. And when did it happen? Well, it happened on Christmas Day, or it might have been Christmas Eve, I'm not sure. But there was nobody around to fix it. There was no hardware stores open. So they can't just have a campground with no water for anybody. So they just turned the water back on and just let that water just flow free under the ground for 3 days until it can get fixed. You know, if you're on city water, I just can't imagine what that bill would be for all that water consumption, but maybe it doesn't matter to some people. So, you know, you might be able to save a few bucks now, but, you know, you could end up paying for it later, even if you're in the deep south. So that's one of the things that I highly recommend for anywhere in the U.S. is some frost-free yard hydrants, because, you know, even Texas got below freezing, you know, a year or two ago. And, you know, I'm sure there was problems with RV parks there as well. So, and it's not just the yard hydrants too. The other thing that we have above ground here is, you know, in our utility sheds, we have a series of valves. We have a home pressure regulator there, so we can regulate the RV pressure down to 45 psi. Our incoming psi is, our pressure is 65 psi. So I know a lot of the, you know, full-time RVers will have a pressure regulator you hook up to your rig, and that's fine. But a lot of you know, inexperienced RVers don't have one, so their water should be good here, as you know, from a pressure standpoint, not to have too much pressure in the RV. So in that event, you know, it's important to, you know, have that above ground water infrastructure, the pressure meters or the pressure regulator, the valves, the gauges I have in there, and whatnot. So I have a utility shed, and then I have a heater in there that keeps it from freezing during the winter time. So that's what I'd like to talk about endpoints. And of course, our final endpoint, our third endpoint, beyond our utility sheds and our yard hydrants, is our fire hydrant. So that is an endpoint. So a lot of people ask, you know, why did I put a fire hydrant in here? So the third endpoint is a fire hydrant. I get asked a lot of why I put a fire hydrant in here. So I'm going to just give several reasons of why I did. I had a video last year I published about April this time last year, so a year ago, where I had a fire at my bonfire pit back here. It got a little out of control. I didn't have any water on the property. I couldn't put it out with water, so I had to use a rake to remove the fire. And you know, I was about 2 seconds away from calling 911 and having the fire trucks come out. Fortunately, I was able to get it under control. Now, if you know me, you know I like to have big fires. So I decided that, you know, having a water source back here for, you know, for safety reasons was a good idea. So I have 150 foot of fire hose. I have a 3/4 inch garden hose here as well, and both of those connect up to my fire hydrant. My bonfire pit is just right over here, so it's close and handy to that. So no more forest fires here at Linden Camp in Linden, Tennessee. The second reason why I put a fire hydrant in here is when I was speaking to the engineers when I was designing this infrastructure, they had indicated that, you know, that 600 feet of water in a 2-inch pipe, you know, running straight down from the road, has a lot of velocity and momentum to it. So they recommended staking, you know, putting a stake here at the end of the line where the T was going to go, you know, just to secure it. Although I can't really imagine that, you know, that pipe would move too much underground, but you know, what do I know? So rather than staking it with a big stake, I decided to just put a big old honking fire hydrant at the end of it. So that was reason number 2. Reason number 3 was having the ability to flush out that 600 feet. So I can open up the fire hydrant and, you know, flush out that whole 600 feet line in, you know, a very quick fashion. The next reason, I thought it'd be cool to have a fire hydrant, so it's more of a pet project for me. Just one of those special things that kind of seem neat to do. And I mean, how many people you know have their own personal fire hydrant? I was thinking initially that it might, you know, save some money on insurance costs, but I'm not really sure that's the case. I did a little bit of digging into it. I'd have to register the fire hydrant with some sort of registry, and it's not, you know, the big size, you know, 4-inch fire plug. It's a 3-inch plug, and it's not near the road. It's, you know, 600 feet off the road, so it's really not publicly accessible. So it's still debatable, you know, if I could get some insurance discounts by having a fire hydrant here. If anyone knows, you know, has some information on that, just comment below and let me know about insurance savings of having a fire hydrant. So I think that's enough reasons to have a fire hydrant, and I'm just glad I did it. And then I'm also building what I'm calling a fire station here. So I got the auger out one night for the excavator, you know, augered some holes here, cut the wood, and, you know, built this structure in about 2 hours one night. So it was pretty cool having the proper tools for the job. And then I have a deck box we're gonna put down below for some fire starting tools and then some fire putting out tools, you know, the nozzles and whatnot. And then eventually I'm gonna build like a you know, small roof over the top of it to just just finish it off and make it look nice. So without further ado, let's turn that fire hydrant on for the first time with a 1.5 inch attack hose. So we're gonna attack a couple things with it. You won't want to miss this. So this is the first idea I had with my fire hydrant. I have a reducer here to go from a 2-inch down to a garden hose fitting. I got some construction quality 3/4 inch hose, and I got a little spray nozzle for the end of it. I just wanted to see, you know, what kind of pressure I get out of it. So let's pick up this end here and see what we get. I'm gonna have to turn the video around though. All right, here we go. Wow, that really shoots out far. I got a stream of water going. Oh, I don't know, probably 30, 40 feet away. I can even open it up further. Oh, maybe not. So that's my first fire hose dealio. I got a real fire hose coming, so can't wait to try that one out. This is Comet Troy, the RV park builder, and I have a little bit of a situation and an opportunity at the same time. I was looking at one of my trees here behind me, and there's 4 webs of caterpillars up there, or eggs waiting to be caterpillars. I haven't used my fire hose yet, so I tried to blast them out with this 3/4 inch garden hose, and that didn't really work. So we're going to try a 1.5 inch attack fire hose and see what happens to these webs. Should be interesting. I've never tried out my fire hose yet. I'm a little terrified because that's a lot of water rushing through there. It might be a little hard to hold on to. So we're going to get out the fire hose here, and we're going to turn it on to our fire hydrant right here and see what happens. So here's the fire hose. We got 150 feet of 1.5 inches. I think 75 feet will reach it, so let's give it a try. All right, let's get this fire hose out and give it a try. So we're going to be using a Venturi type nozzle to get a good powerful stream out of this hose. I think this would be a good spot to blast it from. Mark, you want to pull out a little bit more of it for me there?
Sure.
All right, that's good. All right. I'm terrified. You want to pull that back a little bit, Mark? Get the kink out of the hose? All right. I'm terrified. Turn it on, Mark.
Here it comes.
Holy cows. This has got some pressure to it.
Wow.
All right, ready to blast?
Okay.
Yeah, it's working pretty good.
Just come off good.
There they are after they got blasted.
They're ticked.
We bet.
So now that they're down,
All right, I'm gonna try out this other nozzle. I haven't used this before either. Turn me on, Mark.
Here it comes.
All right.
That's cool watching.
Whoa!
I see a rainbow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this has got some pretty good power.
If you come over this way and stand, I think you can knock that out, that big one.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what us peanut gallery gals over here thinking.
The boys never listen to the girls.
No.
All right, Mark, the girls want you to try it from this side.
Yes. I want to try.
You want to try it?
Oh
Come
yeah,
on, sweetheart.
I do. I'm gonna leave my phone.
All right. We have a lady from the peanut gallery that's going to try.
Probably better off straddling it.
Go, Nancy, go.
Bring it here.
Woo!
That end's not on there all the way.
Woo.
Let me get on this other side so I can get. Maybe if you walk up to it a little closer.
Oh, you think those are up there? At least 30 feet. Maybe close to 40.
I was thinking 50.
Woo! Oh, there you go.
Think a little bit.
Oh,
That'll give you more power?
yeah.
Well, I guess I better buy a 2.5-inch hose.
Well, this was fun. Wow, this is powerful.
There you go.
Well, we can reach it, but by the time the stream gets up there, it's pretty well diffused. Hurricane season.
I think the other
Oh,
one
you're
has better
getting it.
pressure to knock them out.
You're getting it.
Am I getting it?
You're getting it.
Let's try the other nozzle, see if that'll reach further. So we decided to get the fire hose up for some rednecks Sunday fun day. Here we're trying to douse some caterpillar nests up in the tree just for fun. We got the low ones out. And that one there is a good probably between 30 and 40 feet up in the tree. It's hurricane season here in Middle Tennessee. So I do a lot of projects on a whim. I just all of a sudden just have a thought one night when I'm sleeping and I wake up, I'm like, hey, I should do that. So here's one of those pet project, whim projects. I have my fire hydrant over there, and I'm like, well, I need a place to hang my hoses. You know, the white fire hoses are gonna get dirty and all that, so I decided to install a fire hose hanger here. I'm calling it a fire station. I used the auger on the Mini X, planted these poles in there, and I actually had this entire thing constructed, built, hose dug and leveled, and within 2 hours one night. So I still gotta hang the hose hangers up. I bought some plastic ones. I'm thinking about maybe doing some metal ones instead. You know, plastic is nice because it doesn't rust. You know, metal's a little bit stronger, it won't crack and break. So I'm still on the fence of, you know, what to do with my hose hangers. That's why they're not actually hanging up on there yet. Our fire station is coming along pretty well here. We added a couple hose hangers, so I now have 150 feet of 1.5-inch fire attack hose. Haven't played with it yet. I like how it's all nice and white right now, and dragging it through this chair is going to turn it all red and not look so nice, so I've been hesitating to actually get it out and play with it, but one of these days I'm going to. And then I have a construction grade, just your standard garden hose, but it's a contractor grade. It's 3/4 inch. I got adapters for the fire hose, and that's what I've been using so far when we have bonfires back here. But one of these days I want to get out and play with this fire hose. I'm a little terrified, but I don't know. It should be interesting. Hopefully the hose doesn't get away from me and start spraying everywhere. 1.5 inch water flowing through a hose can be pretty heavy, I'm guessing. Now, one of the design things I forgot to mention or neglected to mention, I just kind of figured it was common sense, but then I started thinking about it. And the thing I'm thinking about is, you know, the water distribution. So, you know, it'd be unrealistic to run, you know, a 1/2 inch water line from the road and feed a bunch of RV sites. So you start out, you know, with a bigger pipe, and then every time you split it, you know, you can get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, you know, to maintain that same pressure throughout the park. So we go from 2-inch, you know, down to 1 inch to each of the sites, and then, or not each of the sites, each of the distribution points. Then from 1 inch down to 3/4 into manifolds, and then the manifold has 4 connections for 1/2 inch water line to the RV sites. So all the RV sites out here should be getting a good flow with you know, with the 1/2 inch PEX everywhere. I originally was going to run 3/4 inch PEX to all the RV sites, and I ultimately ended up going with 1/2 inch. And I'm glad I did, because, you know, the flow is, you know, sometimes when you turn on a water hydrant and it comes out in a mad fury or a mad rush. You know, with these here, I get a good quality RV flow for an RV site. So actually, let me show that to you. I actually have a hydrant over here that I have on 1/2 inch. And it's about 150 feet from the distribution point. So this is going through 150 feet of 1/2 inch. So here is the water hydrant. Let me turn it on here. So we get a nice even flow of water out of here, as opposed to it just spraying everywhere. So happy I did 1/2 inch so far. I mean, we'll see once we actually get into the thick of things here, but so far so good. All right, next experiment with the fire hose is we're going to hit the undercarriage of the excavator here, see if we can knock some of this dirt and mud off of it. Let's see how this works with the fire hose. Let's see if we can get this excavator clean. don't know if he's going to come out. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notified, and give us some comments, and I'll see you in the next video.